My dad told me to find you. Robert Sterling's hand is already on the car door when the whisper reaches him. He turns. A boy stands at the edge of the gravel lot. 8 years old, maybe 9. Tight curly hair. A jacket too big for him. The boy stood perfectly still, like someone carrying words too important to get wrong. "Who sent you?" Robert says. The boy doesn't answer that yet. He glances once at the small bronze marker bolted to the concrete block behind Robert. The one nobody but Robert has looked at in months. And something in his face tightens, like he's checking a memory against a script. "My dad said, if I found you here, at this exact time, on this exact day, you'd know it was real." Robert's chest does something he doesn't have a name for. Know what was real? The boy takes one step closer. A pause, small, deliberate. He said, "Tell you it's about the exits." Silence. The same ones. Robert doesn't move. The gravel doesn't move. 7 years compress into 4 words and land directly on the one spot in his chest that has never stopped hurting when it's touched. He kneels. He doesn't decide to kneel. His knees simply arrive at the boy's eye level. "Who's your dad?" Robert says. The boy hesitates, just a breath. "James Coleman." The name means nothing to Robert, not yet. Why didn't he come himself? The boy's face does something complicated. Not shame, not anger. Something closer to a weariness too old for 8 years. He's not allowed on the property. A beat. Security has his picture at the gate. Robert says nothing. How long? 7 years. The number lands somewhere Robert can't afford to feel yet. "What does your father do now?" "Nothing right now." The boy shrugs, small, matter of fact. "He used to. Before." "Before what?" The boy looks at him, the specific look of a child deciding whether the adult in front of him has earned the next part. He decides Robert has. "He still keeps what came out of the fire." Robert goes still. "What?" A pause. The boy says it plainly, without weight. "His hard hat." Robert's mouth goes dry. "He won't get rid of it," the boy says, "even though half of it melted. He said you'd want to know that too, in case the exits part wasn't enough." Robert looks past the boy, toward the bronze marker catching the first full light of morning. He has not told this boy, or anyone, why he comes to this exact patch of gravel once a year, and says nothing about it after. Somewhere across the city, doors that should never be locked again have already been locked since 5 o'clock this morning. Robert doesn't know that yet. He only knows a child he has never met, just said the word fire 3 feet from the only marker in the world that carries his brother's name. And whatever comes next cannot possibly be small. A man banned from Sterling Logistics property for 7 years just sent his 8-year-old son to find the one person who could still walk through the gate. Robert Sterling knelt in a gravel lot at his brother's memorial to hear a child say, "the same ones," about the exact thing that killed him. And across town, in a building opening to the press in 4 hours, those same exits have been locked since 5 o'clock this morning, with people already inside. James Coleman opens the door like a man who has waited 7 years for this exact moment. "You found him," Robert says, not a question. "I sent him." James doesn't move from the doorway. Different thing. The boy slips past both of them into the apartment. "Inside, Micah," James says, and that's the first time Robert hears the name. Not offered to him directly, just spoken the way a father speaks to his son when there are more important things happening than introductions. Robert stays on the step. 7 years, he says. "You never once tried to reach me directly." "I tried." James's jaw tightens. "You want to know how many calls got returned?" Robert doesn't answer. 0. Inside, a small kitchen, 2 chairs, a truck key on a hook by the door. James sits like a man who has had this conversation in his head so many times, the real one feels almost unnecessary. "Say it," Robert says. "Whatever you came here 7 years ago to say it now." James doesn't reach for papers. He reaches for his truck key instead. "Come outside." The hard hat is in the glove box, wrapped in a plastic bag gone brittle with age. James takes it out and just holds it for a long moment, turning it slightly in his hands, not looking at Robert, the specific privacy of a man remembering something he's never once said out loud to anyone. Then he sets it on the hood of the truck. Half of it is scorched black, the shell warped inward on one side. The company decal is burned to an unreadable smear. Robert doesn't touch it yet. Exit 3, exit 5. James's voice goes flat. The way voices go flat when a person has practiced staying calm about something unforgivable. Chained shut, cost cutting. I wrote it down before it happened, and I wrote it down again after, and none of it mattered. Who signed for it? Regional manager. A beat. Gordon Pierce. The name lands and doesn't leave. He signed the first one, James says. Never signed the other two. They disappeared from the file the same week I got fired for insubordination, 11 days after the fire. Robert picks up the hard hat now. The weight is wrong, lighter than it should be, the way anything is lighter once it's finished burning. He's been promoted 3 times since, James says. I've been unemployed off and on for 7 years, banned from the one property I used to know better than anyone alive. Robert's phone rings. Gordon Pierce. He answers on speaker without asking. Robert, where are you? Press in 3 hours. We need you at... The exit's at the new facility. Robert's voice is very quiet. Same as Ferris Road? Silence, long enough to be its own answer. Trial shift, Pierce says finally. Standard loss prevention, we lock during active. Are people inside right now? Another silence. Since 5 this morning. Robert looks down at the burned hard hat in his hand. Unlock them, now. I can't reach the floor supervisor. His radio's dead. We'd have to go through... Robert is already moving. He was already in the car when James climbed in beside him, the burned hard hat between them on the seat like evidence that had finally learned how to speak. Gordon Pierce locked the same exits this morning that killed a man 7 years ago, and the floor supervisor's radio has gone dead. Robert Sterling is driving toward a building that might already be repeating the worst morning of his life, with the one piece of proof that ever mattered sitting on the seat beside him. The floor supervisor's radio was dead because he was already unconscious on the concrete, overcome by smoke from an electrical fire in the loading bay nobody had reported yet. The same panel wiring nobody had inspected since the acquisition. The same corner of every budget that gets cut first and asked about last. Robert reaches the facility 11 minutes before the exits would have mattered, and 11 minutes after they already did. He doesn't wait for security. He doesn't wait for anyone. He runs the floor himself, James half a step behind him, both men shouting for the workers to move toward the one door that was never wired into Pierce's directive, a side entrance nobody thought to lock because nobody thought anyone would need it. 23 people walk out into the morning air. The supervisor is carried out on a gurney, breathing, alive, minutes to spare instead of none. Robert stands in the parking lot afterward with soot on his sleeves and the burned hard hat still in his other hand, and understands, in the specific way you understand something only after nearly losing it twice, that he has spent 7 years mourning the wrong tense. His brother was already gone. This morning almost wasn't. The press arrives on schedule. Cameras set up for a ribbon-cutting find. Robert standing at a podium that was never supposed to hold what he puts on it. He doesn't cut the ribbon. He sets the hard hat down instead, scorched, warped, the decal burned to a smear, and tells the cameras exactly what it is. Exactly whose name signed the directive that locked the exits this morning, and exactly whose signature buried the warnings 7 years before that. Gordon Pierce is not in the room to hear it. He is already being escorted from the building by 2 men in suits Robert called before he left the parking lot. James Coleman's reinstatement is filed the same afternoon. Not the old position, but the new one, Director of Site Safety Compliance. Full authority over every facility Sterling Logistics operates. A title with actual teeth attached to it this time. Micah visits the new facility 3 weeks later, on a Saturday, walking beside his father through a floor that no longer has anything to hide. He stops at the entrance where a small glass case has been mounted beside the door. Not a ribbon, not a plaque with a company slogan. The hard hat behind glass, exactly as it was. Beneath it, 2 words and a date. Not an inspirational quote, not a corporate mission statement. He warned us. Micah doesn't fully understand what it means yet. He knows his father stands a little straighter, walking past it now, than he used to anywhere near this property. Robert watches them from across the lobby and does not introduce himself as anything more than what he actually is now. A man who was 7 years late, and finally once was not.